turn your solo vlogs into a movie. Here are 10 things that separates those fun cinematic vlogs that feel like a movie from the boring content. For this video, I'll be using a funky gimbal camera because the Luna Ultra and Pocket 4 Pro have arrived and they've created some cool new solo filmmaking possibilities. But the tips in this video work with all kinds of cameras. I created an entire showcase video of the Luna Ultra. If you want to check that out, click here. When shooting with a proper cinema camera, you want to use ND filters to get natural motion blur. When you're shooting with an action cam, you don't want to use ND filters because the electronic stabilization kind of starts a war with the ND filters and you get these very blurry lines. And I personally prefer stabilized action shots instead of shots that do have natural motion blur but also a lot of weird fake lines. Because cameras like the Luna Ultra or Osmo Pocket have a 3-axis mechanical stabilization system, there's no electronic stabilization, which means you can use ND filters. If you want to get cinematic footage with these cameras, use ND filters. This is what a shot with an ND filter and natural motion blur looks like, and this is what not using an ND filter with a high shutter speed looks like. Choose the ND filter. Also, I know for the Luna Ultra and the Pocket 4 Pro, variable ND filters will come out. The older this video is, the more likely it is that those variable ND filters are already out there. I would really recommend getting those because fiddling around with those tiny magnetic ND filters can be quite a hassle. And you can sometimes miss those cinematic moments if you're fiddling around too much. And the variable ND filters will help you to use the same ND filter for multiple lighting situations, because you can simply twist and turn and play around with the exposure with one ND filter. With that being said, here are the best settings for cinematic results. What you want to do first is swipe down, go to this icon, the settings icon, and then go down a little bit until you see video bitrate. Usually it's set on standard, but we want to change it to high. There we go. Then we want to swipe from right to left and we want to change the basic settings to the pro settings because this allows you to shoot in iLog. Over here you want to go from standard to iLog. Only downside is that you cannot view the image in Rec 709 yet, but I'm sure in a future update there will be a setting where you can also do the viewing in Rec 709. So it is quite washed out currently. It's not the best for viewing your image, but you will still get the best results if you shoot in iLog. Then for the manual exposure, I always set it to 400 max ISO. So it can move a little bit in between the 400 range. And then for the shutter speed, I always set it to 1/50 because I always shoot 25 frames per second. But if you're shooting slow-mo, you want to make sure it's 1/double your frame rate. So if you're shooting a 120 frames per second video, you want the shutter to be at 1/240. Okay, this is all good. Then we want to go down white balance. I keep it at auto, but you can obviously also change it to a certain number. For the focus, I usually set it to AFS, so it only changes focus when I actually click on the screen. But I have found out that the continuous focus also works really well, especially if you use the breathing compensation. That really reduces the zoom change when the camera focuses, and it really looks nice. And that's basically it. Then also I always shoot in 4K 25 frames per second. You can go up to 8K, but for me 4K works fine and it also doesn't create file sizes that are too big. But I'm sure 8K will also get you a little bit better results. Recording in public can be a bit awkward and can give you a little bit of anxiety. That's because you're a human being, and if you're walking around on the street recording yourself presenting something, people might stare at you. People also might not want to be in your video. And the reason you're caring about all of these things is because you have empathy. Sometimes it can add a lot to your videos to talk to the camera in public, so here are my best tips for filming in public. Alright, so tip number 1, go out early in the morning because there's usually less people on the street and people tend to be a bit more laid back. It is 10 o'clock right now, so if I would have followed this tip, I would have been here 3 hours earlier, but it's a good tip. Alright, number 2, people are less concerned about you than you think. Warm up. Presenting to a camera is a bit like sports. You gotta do a proper warm up before you get going. For me, that usually consists of messing up the line, I want to say, around 4 times. Nice thing about that is that once you get going, you remember that line. Tip number 4, focus on the content that you're talking about. Before you press record, it can help so much to just quickly think about what you want to say. Even for this video right now, I have a lot of the stuff I want to talk about written down on a script, and I look at the script, I take a bit of time to memorize it, internalize it, think about it, and then after I do that, I try and say it. And usually after that, it still takes a couple of takes. Know that professionals usually do multiple takes too. When you're presenting to the camera for the first time, it can feel like pros always nail it the first time, but that's usually just the final result after 5 takes of editing. And knowing this can really help you to get stressed. Knowing this really can help you to get less stressed when talking to a camera. Sleep, deep breaths, and taking a break. If you had a horrible night of sleep, talking to a camera can become much more difficult. If you're doing 15 takes in a row, trying to nail the take can become difficult because your thinking gets worse. And sometimes it's a lot more effective to do a deep breath in, slow breath out, think about what you're saying, and then nail the take. Take your time. When you feel like you're in a rush, you can get a little bit stressed and it can become a lot more difficult to talk to a camera. Moving or walking can help a lot too. Place the camera somewhere. It's also more cinematic. Practice makes perfect. Just like with sports, it takes time to get good. If it's your first time and things aren't going that well, know that there's still a lot of progress to be made. So these gimbal cameras have face tracking features, and that can really help you to take the focus off framing your shot and helps you to focus on whatever you're saying. These gimbal cameras are incredible at capturing stable moving shots, but they are also incredible at quickly allowing you to capture the perfect still shot. Still shots can be very cinematic, and the nice thing about a still shot is that you can walk in and out of the still shot even if you're recording by yourself. Cool thing about these gimbal cameras is that you can attach a magic arm to the camera, and when you attach it to something outside, you immediately get horizon level shots. An even cooler feature of the Luna Ultra especially is that you can take off the modular screen, you can walk into your scene, and you can get the perfect composition, do the framing while you're in there. That means getting the right composition can be very quick and you don't need to walk back and forth to your camera all the time. Okay, the camera is on the other side of the canal. We recorded it using the remote. I think it will look good. It's a bit sketchy because there's people around and I don't want the camera to get stolen, but it's a very cool feature of the Luna Ultra. In my showcase video of the Luna Ultra, I already talked about how it's so nice that we can now go to a 40, 60 or a 120mm focal length. There is nothing wrong with a wide angle 20mm shot, but it does have that signature action cam look. So to get rid of that, it's sometimes very nice to go even deeper into your image and make a 60 or 120mm shot. When you're recording things, you want nice lighting. That nice lighting can be found for free outside during sunrise and sunset. During these hours, the sun is low, which carves out shapes and creates long sweeping shadows, which creates depth. The atmosphere acts as a giant softbox, so you get very nice soft shadows, and the color temperature is also much warmer. Here's a shot during ugly, harsh midday light, and here's the same shot at the same location during golden hour. Midday shot, golden hour. These gimbal cameras also shoot slow-mo. I'm personally not the biggest fan of slow-mo, but in high action environments, it can be very cinematic. Last weekend, I recorded a dog running on the beach. I used the 120 FPS, the 60 and 120mm focal lengths, and because of the stabilization, those shots turned out incredible. I think these shots might even be my all-time favorite shots I created with the camera so far. The fact that you can get such slow motion shots, completely stable, zoomed in, while auto tracking the dog with autofocus on such a small camera, it's really, really insane. What if I told you that this shot can be even more cinematic because we're still missing a whole dimension, and that dimension is sound. And the nice thing is that these days we can literally chat with our music subscription service. Find me some sound effects for a dog, slow motion. Assistant is thinking. Of course, dog, running, footsteps, wind sounds, ocean wave sounds, that's already a lot better. I'm really starting to like it. Let's also add a song. check out the link in the description because there is a 30-day free trial plus 50% discount for the first 2 paying months if you apply the code BruKino at checkout at Epidemic. Alright, so now that you have captured and potentially already edited your shots, there's still one secret thing to make your shots go from this into this, and that is color grading. Color grading really deserves a video on its own, but I quickly want to show you how I saved this shot because it was completely washed out when I recorded it. The exposure was way too high because I didn't look properly. Here's how we do it. We just apply a power grade. Here's my signature power grade. First thing you want to do is bring down the exposure, and because we shot in iLok, there's a lot of detail left. So we go to the exposure node, then we're going to bring down the offset to around... Okay, that already looks much better. Let's also bring down the lift a little bit more. And then let's bring down the highlights a little bit. Already looks much better. There's much more detail in the sky. It's really good, I think. And then I think the white balance can be changed a little bit too. Tiny bit more blue in there and a bit more magenta. My power grade also contains a roll-off node, which is really nice for bringing back the highlights even more. And then I'm just adding the signature look, and look at what a huge difference that makes. It really shows you the power of color grading. It shows you that color grading can add so much to your footage. Another bonus tip is to watch this video right here, the Luna Ultra showcase video I created. It contains a ton of cinematic shots recorded on the Luna Ultra by myself, so I bet you'll learn something from it.